Alright, this one's going to be a little bit different, solving equations using structure. So you're going to have to kind of work with me here, alright, kind of show you guys how to do this. So right now, we're going to take a look at 2x minus 3 squared equals 4, open parentheses. Sorry, not yet, not factor yet. Okay, 4x minus 6. Now, let's think about what this actually means. 2x minus 3 being squared means I have 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. And that's all equal to 4x minus 6. Alright, so when something's being squared, it means it's being multiplied to itself. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to factor out a 2 out of this. So we're going to factor out a 2 out of this, because 2 is divisible into a 4 and into a 6. We're going to say it's going to be 2x minus 3, and we're just going to bring this down. So what's the hardest thing for students? Recognizing that 2 is divisible into a 4 and into a 6 and being able to factor it out. Now when you factor something out, all you have to do to check it is just to use the distributive property. Is 2 times 2 4? Yes. Is 2 times negative 3 negative 6? Absolutely. So it works. So you can use the distributive property to check your work. So I'm going to write a little bit bigger so you can see. So we have 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. And that is equal to 2 parentheses 2x minus 3. Now I want you to notice something. This factor of 2x minus 3 is on both sides. So if I wanted to, I could divide both sides by this binomial 2x minus 3. And what happens is these will cancel out to a 1, these will cancel out to a 1, and look what you have left. You have 2x minus 3 equals 2. And then from there, it's very, very easy. All you got to do is solve for x. How do you solve for x? You isolate the variable of x. You add 3 to both sides. You get 2x equals 5. And then you just divide both sides by 2. And you get x equals 5 over 2. And that's going to be the answer. Now, obviously, we're going to do more than one of these problems for this video. All right, I'm just going to type in 5 divided by 2. Go on to our next question. All right. So this one's a little bit harder. All right, it's a little bit trickier, but I'll show you guys what it's looking for. All right. So one thing on this problem, you're going to have to probably pause and write certain things down. The important thing right here is right here it says p is equal to x squared minus 2. That's super, super, super important. Alright, so just remember, p is equal to x squared minus 2. So I'm going to write x squared minus 2 squared plus 18 equals 9 x squared minus 18. Now, right here, notice it says p is equal to x squared minus 2. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to replace that with the letter p. Well, if I replace this with the letter p, now it's not x squared minus 2, it's just p that is being squared plus 18 equals 9x squared minus 8. Sorry, 9x squared minus 18. Now look carefully. What number goes into a 9 and an 18? Well, that's the number 9. Well, if I factor out a 9, that leaves me with x squared minus 2. Now how do I check that? All I have to do is just multiply 9 times x squared, which is 9x squared, and 9 times negative 2, which is negative 18. So you can clearly see that you can factor a 9 out of both of those terms. So I'll go back real quick. Ooh, look at this. We found another what? X squared minus 2. And when I say x squared minus 2, you say p. X squared minus 2 is equal to p. There we go. So now, what am I going to do right there? I'm going to say that is equal to the letter p in this particular expression, because they say let p equal x squared minus 2. So here's what we have left. We have a p squared plus an 18 equals 9 times p. Now, the last thing I'm going to have to do is just get everything over here to the left-hand side. So all I have to do to finish up my problem is simply just take away 9p on this side and take away 9p on this side. And your final answer will be p squared minus 9p plus 18 equals 0. So I'm going to choose the answer C on this particular one. All right, let's go over real quick. What did we do to start out before you type that in and you're like, what the heck did he just do? The first thing I did was I had to figure out that p was equal to x squared minus 2. So when I saw this right here, I was like, ooh, that is equal to p. The next thing I did was I factored out a 9 and I got x squared minus 2. And so the next thing I did was I was like, ooh, that's also going to be equal to 9 times p. And then I just moved everything over to the left-hand side. All right, see here. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one. We will go ahead and carefully write it down. We have x squared minus 8 that's being squared plus x squared minus 8 is equal to 20. So just carefully write that down nice and neat. Alright, in this problem we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to say the letter p is equal to x squared minus 8. So in a very similar way that we did the last problem, alright, where they said p is equal to x squared minus 2, we're going to say p is equal to x squared minus 8. So here's what I want you to do. I just want you right here to plug in the letter p right here, and I want you to plug in the letter p right here. Now when you do that, this becomes p squared. This just becomes plus p. And then you have equals 20. So we have a quadratic. It's a lot easier to look at now as just a regular quadratic. Now whenever you're solving quadratics, you got to set them equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we are going to subtract 20 from both sides. Alright, and when we subtract 20 from both sides, we have p squared plus a p minus a 20 equals 0. And now we're back to factoring. Alright, we're looking for two numbers that add up together to equal the number 1, and two numbers that multiply together to equal negative 20. If you're wondering where the heck I got the 1, even though you can't see it right here, how many p's do we have? We just have 1 p. And at the end, you can clearly see we have a negative 20. Now, the numbers that are going to work in this particular case, all right, are going to be 5 and 4, except we are going to make it a positive 5 and a negative 4, and a positive 5 and negative 4. Those are the numbers that we are going to use, all right, because 5 plus negative 4 is 1, and 5 times negative 4 is 20. So we are going to say p plus 5 times p minus 4 is equal to 0. Now we have a couple of options here to go with. We could say p is equal to a negative 5. We could also say p is equal to a positive 4, but we're only going to choose one of these answers, all right? Because when you square something right here, all right, what we're going to do is we have to use one or the other, okay? So we can either use a negative 5 or a positive 4 for this particular case. So here's what we're going to do, all right? And all we have to do is find one value of x. We don't have to find both values of x. So once you find this negative 5 and 4, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set it up. I'm going to set up x squared minus 8, all right, can equal a negative 5, and x squared minus 8 could equal a positive 4. So we're going to use one or the other. We're going to come up with some interesting answers, and I'll show you guys how to type them into the Khan Academy. All right. So right here, we're going to put plus 8 plus 8, plus 8, plus 8. And over here, we're going to get x squared. This zeroes out. 8 minus 5 is 3. Over here, we're going to get x squared equals 12, because this zeroes out. 4 plus 8 is 12. So here's our last step that we have to do. We have to take what's called the square root of both sides, if you remember. And we're going to get a value known as x equals plus or minus radical 3. Over here, we're going to get x equals plus or minus the square root of 12. Now, you probably haven't been taught how to simplify radicals, so we'll go over how to simplify radicals. This one is simplified. You can't break it down anymore. But here, square roots or radicals look for pairs or groups of 2. This breaks down to a 4 and a 3, because 4 times 3 is 12. A 4 breaks down into a 2 and a 2. So I want you to also know that the simplified version of this would be plus or minus 2 radical 3. Now, one thing we're going to do is we're going to use Desmos to kind of help you guys see if your answers are correct on this one. So right here, what we're going to do, I'm going to clear this out. All right, I'm going to go to the original problem, which was x squared minus 8. Oops, minus 8. Okay, and then there was plus x squared minus 8. And there was an equals 20, but what we'd have to do, we'd have to put right here, look back real quick at the problem. Oh, x squared equals 20. So here's what we'd have to do in Desmos. You'd have to put y equals 20 and zoom out enough where you could see your answer choices. Okay? But what we're going to do is we're just going to take 20 from both sides. We're going to put minus 20 to make everything equal to 0. And that should allow us to be able... Oh, forgot to put a squared here. Sorry, my bad. There we go. All right? And now we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 answers. We're wondering, what the heck are these decimals? Well, check this out. Our decimals of the square root of 3 is this 1.73. All right? And 2 radical 3 is that 3.46. So there's like it's plus or minus. So if you look right here, we got a plus or minus 2 radical 3. We have a plus or minus square root of 3. And those are going to be the answers. We could type in any one of those answers into the Khan Academy, and it will be accepted. All right. So it just says find one value. So I'm just going to type in radical 3. That's probably the easiest one to type in. If I wanted to put 2 radical 3, the one thing you wouldn't want to do is you wouldn't want to put square root of 12, because they'll count that wrong because it's not simplified. So that's just one of the answers. And let's do one more. Okay, let's do one more right now. And it just says find one value of x that is the solution to the equation. I realize of all the assignments, this is probably the toughest one, so feel free to watch it over again, or if you want to have a Zoom class where I work on one of yours individually, you're more than welcome to. Just let me know. Right now we have x squared minus 6. It's being squared, which means we have x squared minus 6 times x squared minus 6 equals... Now I'm just going to factor out a negative 3 real quick. I'm just going to factor out a negative 3, which will leave me an x squared minus 6. Now what I want you guys to understand is when you guys see something being squared, that means you're multiplying to itself twice. And all I did over here is I just factored out a negative 3, which left me with x squared minus 6 left. Once you do that, it's very easy. All we have to do is divide both sides by x squared minus 6. And nice and neat, those cancel out. These right here, those cancel out. And let's see what we have left. X squared minus 6 equals negative 3. So let's write that down here. Ready? X squared minus 6 equals negative 3. And all we're going to do is just simply move this negative 6 across. So we're going to add 6 to this side. We're going to add 6 to this side. And we get x squared equals 3, because 6 minus 3 is 3. And then we take the square root of both sides, and we get x equals plus or minus radical 3. So it looks like Right now it just says find one value. So we don't have to do both values, just one value. So square root of 3 should suffice. So go over here, just type in square root of 3. Let's see if we got it right. Hey, we got it right. Now, if you miss one of these, my suggestion is to see a step-by-step solution. Write those steps down. All right, see what they do. Looks like they did they substituted a value of p for it and did it that way. Okay, so that was one way that they did it. We did it a little bit differently. Just hey, whichever way you feel most comfortable. If you want to use like where you're substituting p into the equation, you're more than welcome to. That's a very valid and easy way. Over here, you could also divide both sides by this x squared minus 6 and still be able to get to the right answer. All right, hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you next time.